And we are recording, and it's Restoration Gathers. Everybody's joining us for tonight. Take 5. We've had technical difficulties all night long, but it's okay. I got 2 members of our worship ministry with me tonight. I got Dustin. Dustin, say hi to everybody. Dustin, our bass player. Yep. And then Andy. How you doing, Andy?
Good.
Our sax player. And, since we've been having technical difficulties, I've heard some about your story multiple times. So I feel like I'm really getting to know you guys.
All right, you can just talk for us. You can tell us everything we said.
It all began, and no, just kidding. Yeah. So anyway, I do want to ask you guys a little bit about just your history with worship, experience with worship, and also learning to play an instrument to glorify God. So, just for fun, Dustin, I'm going to start off with you this time. Tell me about what was some of your first experiences with worship? How did you get involved with worship? And how does that connect with learning to play bass?
I got involved, I think I was 13, 14 in a youth ministry. They wanted to form a youth ministry band, and they didn't have a bass player. So I had my dad teach me what he knew, and I just kind of took it from there and grew a little bit. And as the years went on with that, they did some personnel changes within the big church worship band, and they wanted me to be a bass player. So I was kind of pushed into that position, and I really had to grow from there. And it was either a sink or swim situation. So I had to learn pretty quick how to at least look like I knew what I was doing, even if I didn't, playing. And from there, it just kind of grew into, it became something that I enjoy doing, and really got a passion for playing the bass. As time went on, as I played more, passion went from being the musician to playing the bass to like being a bass player and worshiping with it. And then it was kind of neat to see the change from just playing an instrument to be able to play it and worship at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun, and it still is. I have a lot of fun playing.
And you kind of came from a musical family, right? Because your father, he plays bass and guitar as well, right?
Yeah, he plays bass guitar, and a little bit of harmonica. And, so there's a pretty good vein of musicianship the rest of my family, I suppose.
That's what happened with me too. My mother played guitar, and I kind of learned guitar and just music and all of that from her, and also worship. Her singing songs to the Lord and stuff like that had a big impact on me as well. And I'd say sort of like blazed the trail for me to be involved in this stuff. And Andy, you were saying earlier that your grandfather had an influence on you, yeah?
Yeah, he played semi-professionally for a while or whatever, and yeah, he got me started. I picked it up probably 3rd or 4th grade, and he gave me a horn and started playing. But
so you were saying that you grew up in church, and then you learned to play the sax. When did those two things come together for you?
A little bit later, I was at First Christian Church, and all my family was going there or whatever, and they had a new worship minister, and he put out a call for, he wanted to get more people involved or whatever, so he put out a call, and so I hooked up with those guys and started playing. That was probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Played for a few years with them, and then made the jump to Restoration, and I was there about a year before we started connected with you guys and started playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the things that I talked to some folks last week about it, and I wanted to bring up with you guys, is just the kind of relationship between music and worship. You guys are musicians, you love music, you love to play music, but worship has this spiritual component that is not just playing songs and playing them well. But there's something in addition to that, and being able to glorify God from your heart while you're through your instrument, while you're playing it through that. And do you find that to be a challenge, the music and the and worship, or do you find that one just naturally just sort of leads to the next one? And I'm just kind of curious about. I like asking musicians who give their gifts through worship to the Lord, that kind of relationship, how worship kind of changes their relationship to music in some way. So, you guys have any thoughts or experience with what I'm talking about?
I'll let you go, Dustin.
I was gonna hope you would go first.
Okay, I can do that.
See, that's my job. I put you on the spot. You know,
I can do that. I don't know. I guess I want to talk a little bit about like the creative process or whatever. Just knowing, God's the ultimate creator, and I love that process of music and being able to create something from nothing. It kind of reflects back to Him,
yeah.
What we do, and
specifically, you're doing a lot of creativity in what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a lot of ad-libbing or whatever, trying to weave in and out of what you guys are doing, and just trying to support what you're doing.
Yeah, but it really adds, man. It's so special in that, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it.
I love the sound. I love when it all play. When we all play together.
It all comes together, and you can feel it, and you can almost feel it, everybody in the congregation just being drawn in as soon as they hear those. You contribute in that way. How about you, Dustin? As far as just the relationship between being a musician and using that to glorify God.
Right. For me, I'm not a very outwardly expressive person in any situation, so it's my outlet. That's just how I worship music.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess maybe, I don't know, I find it easier to find that correlation between the two of being a musician and worshiping at the same time. It's just how I worship, I suppose. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like Andy said, just when everything all comes together as one collective sound, when everybody practices at home away from a band setting and comes and brings what they've learned through the week together, and it just seems to all mesh and just make one sound. It's really really cool to me to be part of that and experience that.
Yeah, it is a really neat experience. You spend all this time, and I've said this before, you kind of give yourself emotionally and all this stuff, and with your energy and all of that, but then when you're done, you feel in this strange way like you're more full than when you left. You might be tired, but you feel full.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you guys, I mean, part of what we do is try to encourage people into the presence of Christ, through our example, through the music, the beauty that we create. We're trying to help people open the door of their heart to Jesus. And my question for you is if you're just to say a word of encouragement for people, just to try to help them in that process, being able in times of worship to just open themselves up to Christ. Do you have any words of encouragement for them on how to do that, or anything that might encourage them in that way?
I would say, just don't worry about what you think your neighbors next to you might think. I mean, if you're somebody that's exuberant with worship, I mean, just let it out. And if you're not, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't worry about what somebody thinks, or you're not worshiping good enough or something like that. I've had several people in my life tell me that, oh, if you don't raise your hands and speak in tongues and all stuff, like, you're not worshiping correctly. So I don't know if there's any right or wrong way to worship. I think it's it's an outward expression of something you feel inside, and not everybody has the same response to it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, those are some good words. Yeah, yeah. How about you, Andy? You have any thoughts?
Yeah. Um, I, I guess how I would encourage someone is to, I'm kind of fumbling over my words here at the moment, but I don't know. I think I would like to just see more exuberance. And I just think a lot of times we're too reserved. You know, like I used an example a little earlier, you know, about going to a sporting event or whatever, you know, and something exciting happens, you know, a touchdown or a home run or something, you know, and how excited we get and high-fiving and you know, cheering as loud as we can and that kind of thing. And I just feel like we could adapt that same energy that, you know, we show there. Why can't we show that in church a little more? You know, we're worshiping the King of Kings,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and I would just like to, I mean, I know everybody, like Dustin said, doesn't have the same type A personality or whatever, and that's fine, you
Mhm.
know, whatever, but I don't know. I would just encourage people just to kind of let loose and be free with your worship.
Yeah, I think one of the things, oftentimes we struggle with being self-conscious, about these things, and being self-conscious is often an obstacle to being, God conscious, which is really what it's necessary for worship, to be aware, that God's the most important person in the room. He's the most important person in life. Um, and to sort of be able to kind of let go of a little bit of that self-consciousness so that we can focus on that more, you know what I mean? um, Especially for me too, like with playing an instrument or singing, the more I can let go of that, the more I can be less conscious of what I'm doing and more conscious of what the Spirit is doing with us and through us. And um, that's when you can kind of become transformed by worship in that way. I think, at least for me, that's I would say one of my experiences that way. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you guys, I want to take too much time in your evening. I know with the technical difficulties we've had, I've taken a lot of time already.
Good.
But I really appreciate you guys being able to share a little bit from your heart and a little bit of your experience with everybody, because you know, um, it's one thing just to have people up there playing, and it's another to know something about who they are and that they're people giving praise to the Lord. You know what I mean? So it's a
Thanks for
gift.
having us.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Dustin. I know that you being the introvert, this is a stretch for you, so I appreciate this, brother.
I'm an introvert too.
You are an introvert too?
I can play music in front of 1,000 people, but I don't like to talk.
Oh yeah, man.
Uh,
Well, geez, you guys did a good job, man. I'll have to ask you back. You guys are like, I don't know about that
one and done.
one. Well, you guys, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next couple of weeks and having you guys up there and giving you gifts that way. It's gonna be really great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to getting back.
All right. Blessings. We'll see you soon. All right.
See
Blessings. Bye.
See you.